theme music, right? Just walk down. I'm a school teacher, and so when I'm walking down the halls, I want that like background music playing as I walk through the hall. Like, here comes Mr. Stinnett. That'd be awesome. Normally it's just me being really loud and obnoxious in the hallway. I see a kid looking down like, it's fun because they don't know what's going on. So, early Saturday morning after a long week. Anybody ever experience early Saturday morning after a long week? And all you want to do is sleep in. And you're not even being greedy. You just want to sleep in until like 8:37 or something. You want it to be a random number so that there was obviously no alarm clock. But then you hear sounds. Children, pets, neighbors, angels. It doesn't matter. Because it was before 8:37. How many of you on that Saturday morning after a long week when all you had in mind was rest and sleep, whatever it is that wakes you up is your enemy? Go ahead, raise your hands. Let's go. Condemn yourself. Some of you are trying to raise other people's hands because you're never sleeping in. You're like the happiest person in the world. It's 4:37 and you're awake and you're just like, everyone should be happy. I'm happy. You're like the elf. How many of you have ever completely blown being a loving person because you were irritated? Right? All right. Good. I needed some yeses. For just a little bit, this is so awkward. Let's talk about it. Turn to somebody beside you and be like, here's what I did. Tell us about a time you blew it. Go ahead. Tell us about a time. I'll share you with one of mine here in a minute. Tracy's all by herself right here. She's like, this is easy. You don't have to talk to anybody about anything. All of you others sat by people. Go ahead, talk to people. How did you blow it? What was it that you did? If it's your spouse sitting next to you, she already knows. In fact, she was hoping you'd mention that time, and you didn't. So, if you ask Tracy, I've never messed up. I'm always consistently, his wife knows my wife. I'm always consistently the most loving person. I've never been that. So, I think what we need to realize, though, is that that's kind of us. Any of you ever have like a bad day at work and you bring that bad day at work home and you make it a bad night at home? Right? Because we carry our irritations, we carry our frustrations with us, and no one has ever taught us how to leave those things at the door, right? No one has ever taught you how to leave that in your truck or leave that in your car or leave that at the office. All you know is to bring it home. And whenever you try, because listen, okay, y'all, you're going to be like, I need amens or something after this, okay? When you're trying to talk to your other person, whoever it is, be it a spouse, a friend, a dog, whatever it is, they just want to solve all your problems instead of listen to them. I just need you to feel sorry for me. I don't need solutions. Because if Tracy comes home from a bad day at work and she tells me what happened, I'm like, well, here, babe, there are 3 simple steps. Here are the things you need to do. Take notes. Let's go. She's like, I needed you to do one thing, Michael. Just listen. Without trying to solve anything. Because I've watched superhero movies and I'm just trying to be Superman. I just want to rescue her. And instead, I make it worse for everybody. Because we don't know how to love people. Because we assume that, well, real talk time. We assume that we're the only people that actually matter. And if I'm not feeling loving, then I shouldn't be loving toward other people. That's not what we think, but isn't that what we do? It's easy for us to love when we feel loved. It's easy for me to be your friend when I feel like you're my friend. When I feel like you're nice to me. When you do things for me, I'll do things for you. You scratch my back, I'll do what? I'll scratch yours. It's not like that. The other person, like if I ask you for help and you can't help me, oh, you better not ask me. Isn't that the normal kind of like thing? Like we hold it over people? But that's not loving. And so we're going to talk about that today. In 2 John, it's a very short, listen, if you can see it, all right, that's the whole book. 2 John, it's a letter. No, that's what the New Testament, those are letters that are written to specific people or to specific bodies of people. And in 2 John, we have John, who was with Jesus, and he's writing this letter to a lady, and he's talking to her about the church and how he wants the church to respond, how he wants the church to live, how things should be. And in verse 5 of this letter, want you to watch. So now I ask you, dear lady, not as if I were writing you a new command, but one we have heard from the beginning, one we have had from the beginning. And we did this last week, but it was from 1 John. So now he's saying the same thing to a different group. Here it is. This new command that we what? That we love one another. The next verse. This is love, that we walk according to his commands, and the his there being Jesus. This is God that he's talking about. So love one another. How do we love? We walk in his commands. What commands? Well, I just gave you a command. This is the command, as you have heard it from the beginning, that you walk in love. And I understand, most of us, if there were to be like 3 simple steps for being a Christ follower, for 3 simple steps for being a Christian, we would love to have 3 simple steps. Any of you remember the ABCs of faith? Right? Admit, believe, confess. Y'all, that is way too easy. There's nobody admit, believe, confess, and love everybody. I think you'd have a lot more people not signing up if you were to tell people, oh, hey, by the way, before you want to commit your life to Christ and before you ask for forgiveness, you have to love everybody. Like, well, hold on, preacher. Who's everybody? Well, yeah, like all of them. Like all of them? Are you sure? Do you know all of them? No, I don't. Do you know how bad some of them are? Yes, I do. I mean, I know you. Love everybody. Well, I'm not signing up for that, preacher. I mean, I'll love everybody on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are good for me. I don't go anywhere. It's easy. Love everybody. This is the command. Love everybody. We want it to be some type of simple, like, I need to be like an action. I would rather, listen, 10%. I'm not going to give 10%. I'm going to give 30%. Do I have to love people still? Yeah. Because the command wasn't about how much money you give. It's about how much love you have. How much love you give. And so I want to talk about what does it look like to walk in love. Last week we were in 1 Corinthians 13, and we were walking through 1 Corinthians 13. If you were here last week, how did you do? Right? Some of you are like, I wasn't here. I'm so glad. Right? It was a good week to miss. All right, we talked about how love is patient. How patient were we this past week, right? The last 7 days, right? You guys were all better, right? Everybody was good. Love is kind, which means you're not mean to people. You're not a jerk just because they took your spot in line or because you were waiting to turn left into that parking lot and get that spot and the person came down and swooped right in. They didn't even slow down. They just whipped right in there. You ever been in a parking lot and you swear it was like that car came up from out of the ground and took the spot you were waiting on with your blinker? I mean, I don't do that. I don't put blinkers on in parking lots. I'm kind of like a first come, first serve. If I got it before you did, sorry. You should have been more reckless. I'm just kidding. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It's happy for other people. Love is not boastful. Love is not arrogant. Love is not rude. Love is not self-seeking. Love is not irritable. Say that one with me again. Love is not irritable. Irritable. Love is not. Me either. Me either. I want to read all these, then we're going to talk about them. Love does not keep a record of wrongs. You ever want to rewrite the Bible? Right? You ever look at some of these verses and be like, love does not keep a record of wrongs. Which wrongs? Like, aren't there some wrongs that are okay to keep a record of? I mean, come on, can I get more context? It just says don't keep a record of wrongs. Okay. Love's not irritable. I'm getting irritated. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. And then here's verse 8 of 1 Corinthians 13. And this is where we're going to wrap up when we get to the end of the message today. So I hope that you can stay tuned in, okay? Because this love never ends. Doesn't society teach something different? I mean, love comes and goes. Whew. That's why we got so many love songs that are not about love. About the pain that love causes. That's what I meant to say. So let's just jump right in and let's start. Last week we worked through the first few verses here, and today we're going to start with love is not irritable. So if you're a note taker, here's what I have for us. The first little way that I worded this is love is not always angry. Sometimes you can get angry. Yes, everybody just good with that. Let me just go ahead and say it. Sometimes you can be angry. The Bible says, be angry and don't sin. It doesn't say, never be angry. The problem is, how many of us struggle being angry and then not taking that to the next level? Like we're angry and we're all like squashing people's heads. We want to hurt them. We want to get right. We want to make you feel what I feel. Oh, I love hurting you. Any Romeo and Juliet people in the room? I'm a Shakespeare guy. I love me some Shakespeare. And in Romeo and Juliet, Romeo is talking to one of his cousins just after a big fight at the beginning of the play. And he says, here's the problem. You guys, this is a fight about love. You love to hate. Your hate is fueled by love. A love to fight. A love to argue. A love to be right. Who wants to be right? Yeah, I love being right. I'm just not good at it. But I love it. And so love is not always angry. It is not irritable. See, an irritable person is like holding a lit firecracker with your eyes closed. And you're not letting go. I got an uncle that did that. He played that game one time, holding that firecracker, and he left a mark on his hand for a really long time, like his whole life. Any of you ever hold firecrackers? Kids, close your eyes. Man, I remember growing up, we had bottle rocket wars. You'd light that dude and hold it, and then you'd count, and then you'd throw it. And you had one of those dudes who couldn't count right. You know, that poor guy, he was always holding a little long. You know, he was missing sideburn hair and stuff like that. It's like, it's just a bottle rocket. It ain't going to hurt you. Let it hit you in the eye. Or you had somebody who would throw a bottle rocket, and then it would come right back at them because they flipped it too much. They're like, oh, this is so good. It's fun to watch. It's not fun to be in one. But that's like like being around an irritable person. How many of you know those people? Because sometimes I'm like this with Tracy, and this happens for both of us. We struggle with this sometimes. We're like, you're walking on eggshells. Man, you're going to say the wrong thing, and boom. Whole gross of bottle rockets just went off. And bad things are happening to everybody all around the world. That's what it's like sometimes whenever I'm in that mood where you you say the wrong thing, I'm going to get defensive. And once I get defensive, I get hurt. And then once I'm hurt, I hurt. And that is what irritable people do. So let's address irritability. Irritability is a symptom of bitterness, and bitterness is sinful because bitterness is holding on to things that you were supposed to let go of. Okay, so let's talk about irritability as a symptom of bitterness. See, we've gone without discussing our frustrations because we don't want to deal with the conflict that it immediately brings. Anybody? We want to avoid the conflict so we don't have the conversation, but by not having the conversation and facing the conflict, we create a problem that is just waiting to explode. And you don't know when it's going to explode, and the other person in your relationship, whether it's a friend, it's a kid, we take it out on our pets too. But some of you, y'all got way more grace for your dogs than you do for your friends. You do for anybody else. Like, oh, my dog, no, you can do it. You can lick me right in the face. You bring that. Somebody else trying to talk to you, like, shut up. I ain't got time for you. We're bad. Irritability is a symptom of bitterness, and bitterness comes from not handling our conflict. We don't communicate about our problems. And that happens, parents, that happens with us. We don't talk to our kids about what it is that they're doing wrong. We yell at our kids about stop doing wrong. Never going to learn how to stop doing wrong because we're not teaching you, but you know that it's wrong. And then we wonder why you're yelling all the time. It's a pretty simple process to figure out. We just don't like doing it. And so those frustrations have left us perpetually irritated. Let me just say it. Communication is necessary for preventing bitterness. We have to communicate with each other. And this is to the church. 1 Corinthians 13 is a letter that's written to a church that was messed up. Okay? They were not loving each other. You go into 1 Corinthians 11, they're gathering around the Lord's table, and they're supposed to have a supper there. They're supposed to enjoy each other. They're supposed to fellowship with each other. It's like all you do is come around and complain against each other. You're not loving each other. Nobody wants to be part of what you're doing. You ever gone to church because you're like, man, I got to, but you don't want to? Because the people. Oh, don't like the people. That's what 1 Corinthians 13 is dealing with. He says, love each other. Love's not irritable. You don't walk around waiting to get irritated. You're not looking for a reason to be mad. But what do we do when bitterness already sets in? How do we handle it once bitterness is already there? Because if we're going to be honest, a lot of us are already struggling with bitterness. It's already taken over our soul. And we don't know what to do. And so I'm going to give you a couple of ideas that I'm also struggling through. Idea number 1. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key to defeating bitterness. You will never get over what you don't forgive. Does that mean I have to call them or talk to them? What if they're not here anymore? How do I handle that? Well, so a lot of forgiveness is internal. Can we just acknowledge that first it's internal forgiveness? You start with you. And I think, let's just be honest with ourselves. Most of us in the room need to start forgiving ourselves first for all the times we've blown it. And once we've forgiven ourselves, we've understand that God has forgiven us, then we can extend that forgiveness to other people. You can't forgive others if you don't forgive yourself. And isn't that, for some of us, isn't that what's holding us back? Any of you ever say, I forgive you, but you still haven't? We're really, really good at saying the words, I forgive you. You can't forgive other people if you don't know how to forgive. You practice by forgiving yourself first. Get good at it, and then extend that forgiveness to other people. And that's one thing that will kill bitterness. But how do we get to that spot? How do we forgive people? Well, I think that starts with humility. Forgiveness is the only, for me, from what I can find in Scripture, forgiveness is the key to beating bitterness. You forgive. I did not say forgive and forget because I don't think that's a thing. You don't forget things that you have to forgive. You have to forgive it because somebody did something wrong to you, and it's good luck forgetting that. What we're going to talk about here in a minute, though, is that you don't hold on to it. You don't hold it over them. You don't let it control you. Doesn't mean you forgot about it. So be humble. You can't look for an opportunity to get angry if we are loving others. Any of you know any Christians that just want to be angry? They just want to get mad at the world. They look for reasons to be mad at the world. You're not wearing the clothes that I like, I'm mad at you. You're not dressed right, I'm mad at you. You don't love the right people, I'm mad at you. You don't treat babies right, I'm mad at you. We get mad at people, don't we? And we get mad at them before we talk to them, before we have conversations with them. There are things that I believe are right. There are things that I believe are wrong, but I think that we should love people. I think that we should initiate conversations with people so that we can figure out why they are where they are, why they believe what they believe, and we can potentially help them get to what God has for them by loving them. Have you guys ever win anybody over by being angry? Nobody? Nobody? Nah, me either. I love babies. I love babies. But I don't know that anybody is ever going to quit thinking about abortion the way they think about abortion if we hate them. We've got to stop hating people. Hate's not going to work. Love changes people. Hate makes people mad. All right, next thing. Let's get past the irritable part because that's just me and I'm just irritated right now. Love does not keep a record of what? Wrongs. Guys, love does not keep a record of wrongs, so try this. Love does keep a record of rights. Some of us need to think more about the positives and less about the negatives. Love doesn't keep up with all the things that people have done that are wrong. Love remembers the right. Love remembers the good. It remembers the things that people have done that we enjoy, the things that we love about those people. What is it that we like about people? Go back to that whenever you're not sure. Go back to that. See, you can't forget what people have done, and there are consequences for our decisions. We talked about that a month ago. We talked about every decision that you make has consequences. But we shouldn't keep reminding you of your failures all the time. We've got to, at some point, we have to come to grips with the fact that if we don't quit reminding people of their failures, they'll never get to successes. Some people are held back by our constant nagging and our constant griping and our constant complaining and our constant negativity. And some people can't forgive themselves because we won't let them get over it. We won't let them move past what they did because we keep a record of wrongs. Oh, and I promise, y'all, listen, you'll agree with me on this, I think. You keep that record of wrongs, you're going to stay angry. You will never get over anger if you continually hold on to what people have done to you that is wrong. And I just don't want you to be angry. Angry's not fun. Have you seen the Hulk? He doesn't look like a party. It doesn't look enjoyable. Nobody likes being around perpetually angry people. So we've got to learn to let some things go, the power of forgiveness. And I came up with this and then realized this is a really, really common quote, so I didn't come up with it. I heard it. If you're keeping score in your relationships, you're already losing. Because you only keep score when you want to win. That's why I hate kids' sports, by the way. I want winners. I want somebody to know that they lost, and I want them to feel bad about it. Go home, practice, come back, be better. Winners and losers, man. Keep score in relationships. You're always losing. You can't hold on to that stuff. John 13:34 says, love one another as I have loved you, as I have loved you. And Jesus gave us this command, love one another as I have loved you, after washing people's dirty, nasty feet. Love them the way I've loved you. So here's the real quick lesson from that. Love people the way I've loved you. When people are dirty and undeserving, love them anyway. You don't hold on to the record of wrongs. You do right to people who have done you wrong. That is the mark of a Christ follower. Do right when people have loved you wrong. And bitterness, we're talking about bitterness and how do we get over bitterness. You don't keep a record of wrongs. You don't stay irritable. And I want you to write this down if you're a note taker, okay? If you're not a note taker, it's a great idea to write this down. Bitterness sits in when we value our right to be angry more than we value the other person's right to be forgiven. Bitterness sits in our souls. Bitterness sits in our hearts. Bitterness sits in our character and changes us. It transforms us into monsters whenever we value our right to be angry. You did that to me, and I am mad at you. And I stay mad at you because I value my right to be angry at you more than I value your right to be forgiven. Guys, let's be honest. Some of us, we've got some forgiving to do, don't we? And we've got some people that have hurt us. Some of them are in the room with us right now, and some of them we might not ever see again. We've still got to forgive. We've got to forgive if we value what God has done for us. And I think this is one of the problems in the church, so let me soapbox for a little bit. For too long, the church has been screaming against the things that we hate, and that has made people feel like we hate them. The church screams against the things that we hate, and it makes people feel like we hate them. And that is what happens when you're bitter. People assume that you hate them because of the things that you love. Or let me say it like this. When you carry bitterness around, people assume that you hate them because of the way you love them. If your love feels like hate, good luck. That's all I got for that. Any of you ever done that, man? Whew. If your love feels like hate. Next, love is authentic. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. See, love doesn't rejoice in wickedness, and it doesn't rejoice in vengeance. It doesn't rejoice in those things. It rejoices in the truth. Why? Because we want God to be glorified, and He's a God of truth. He's a God of justice. He's a God of righteousness. And so those things matter more to us. We want to see people come into a relationship with Christ. We want to see people overcome their vices, but we don't want people to, we're not worried about people overcoming their vices before they come to Christ. But that's what the church looks at most of the time. That's what we look at most of the time, isn't it? Any of you got family members that can't get it right? Boy, don't point that finger very far, though, right? I can't get it right. I got family members that are way better people than me. And I don't know if they've ever been to church. It's not about what we get right. We rejoice in truth. And that is who Jesus is. We rejoice in Him and what He offers for people. We don't celebrate wickedness. We want to see people get better, but we see people get better by coming to Christ. And we don't rejoice with decisions that take people away from God. We don't say, you do you, when you is bad. And I know that we're in a world right now, and we're in a culture right now where it's not cool to say that. You're like, well, nah, just let people believe whatever they believe. But why? What if what you believe is not good for you? I should rejoice in truth, and I should rejoice in righteousness, and I should rejoice in your opportunity to a better life, to hope for a better future. And I can rejoice in that because I believe that's what Jesus offers us through forgiveness. I've got to rejoice in that. I don't celebrate with people making bad decisions. I try to help them stop making bad decisions. I got to stop making bad decisions too before I get started with that, though. All right, moving on. So love is authentic. And love is faithful. Love is faithful. Doesn't stop. Love bears all things. And I did some, these phrases all kind of sounded the same to me. A lot like bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, never ends. I'm like, that's just a repetition. It's a poem. Then I did some research and found out that word bear right there doesn't actually mean like hold up, like we think of holding up, like you bear one another's burdens and stuff, and that's part of it. But it's the idea of a roof. That's the word that was originally used in this context for roofs. Okay, and so it covers things and it supports things. That's what this word means. Love bears all things. Love covers and love supports. I thought, man, that is brilliant. I see it. It makes so much sense because a roof is there, and if you put things on the roof, it supports the roof, and that's what love does. Is love supports one another. It holds each other up, and it keeps each other comfort. It keeps each other okay. Whenever you're falling, I'm catching. Whenever I'm falling, you're catching. And some of the issues are that some of us have loved people that weren't catchers, and we were falling, and they missed. And so we feel let down by love and not those people. We've got misunderstanding going on. But see, love bears all things. It supports people when there's nothing, when you don't see any hope for that. You're like, but I'm here with you. We will both we'll struggle right through this together. I'm with you. And then not only does it support, it covers. And so love covers you. I will protect you. I will shield you. I will watch you. That's what roofs do. They cover you, they protect you, they shield you. And that's what love is supposed to do. My love for you is supposed to provide a safe place for you. And that's what some of us are missing. And guys, I want to let people know, I want everybody to know. And so if you're here at Verge Church this morning, you go invite people and let them know, hey, Verge Church, safe place. We're a safe place for people to come to Christ. We will love you, we will cover you, we will be a roof for you, we will support you, and we will encourage you, and we will protect you as best we can. Are we always going to get it right? Oh, no. No, ask some people. They'll tell you. We don't always get it right. We bear one another's burdens, and we don't leave when life gets hard because love supports you. Love covers you. 1 Peter 4:8 says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. Love bears all things. It supports people. It encourages people. Love doesn't leave when life gets hard. Life gets messy. Love doesn't quit. See, love believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. And I want to sum these up, okay? Love expects the best outcome. It doesn't expect the worst. Well, what about all the times they've let me down? Well, if you want to keep a record of wrongs, go ahead, but don't call that love. But that's what we do. And I say we because I'm so in this. I'm a great scorekeeper. But love expects the best outcome. Love doesn't expect failure. Any of you know those people that make a decision, they want to come to Christ, but we expect them to fail before they even get started? Don't we do that? Any of you ever get a new puppy and expect that puppy to never use the bathroom in your house? No? No, if you do that, that's dumb. You get puppies, that's a lot of mess coming with that puppy. You have a baby, and that baby uses that bathroom one time, right, and you go get that diaper, and you're like, hey, baby, never again. You learn to hold it. You wait until you're in a toilet. That's not the way babies work, but that's what we expect from people when they come to Christ. You're not allowed to mess up ever again. And then, once you do mess up, we expect failure from you every time. Oh, that's just Mike. That's Mike being Mike, man. Yeah, he'll go to church a couple months, and then you'll never see him again. And then there he is again. We expect failure from Mike. You guys know any people like that? See, some of us expect to be let down by people because we assume that people are always going to do us wrong. I will acknowledge, let's just be honest, there are some people that it's like they're always going to do us wrong. Haven't we been around certain people and that's them? But we can love anyway because love believes the best. Love gives people the benefit of the doubt. So here's one of the things I want you to take home with you today, okay? Love gives people the benefit of the doubt. Whenever somebody comes in and they're rude to you and they're frustrated with you and they're irritated with you, before you fire back, try and figure out why. Who knows what happened to that person that day? That changed the way I teach whenever I learned this. I read a book called Graceonomics, and it talked about you have no idea what people are dealing with before they deal with you. Show grace. And I realized I don't know what that kid's going through at home. I don't know what happened that weekend with that kid at home, and I don't know what's going on. I don't even know they have a home. Show grace. Love gives people the benefit of the doubt. And then here's the last thing I want to share with you today. And this one, I'm sorry, this one's harder than the others. Love does not give up. Love does not give up, because verse 8 says love never ends. I know it would have been more convenient if when Paul was writing this letter, he would have said love tries hard. Wouldn't you have guys like the love tries hard message? Love just does the best it can. Then you're good, as long as you just mark off your I tried box. Love never ends. The reason we give up on people is because the people that we love are the people that hurt us the most. And so we give up because we get tired of being hurt. Yes? Listen, maybe I'm asking questions here. Is that right? Isn't that what we do? We give up because people have hurt us. The people that hurt us are the people that we love, the people that we let in. And see, that's why we want to quit. People can't hurt you if you don't give them access, so I will shut off. Good luck. My group of friends in college, there was one of our friends, it was me and Carrie Weaver, and there was a guy named Luke, a guy named Jared, and there was a Michaela, and Jessica. There were some people, and some of them had walls, and they would talk about the walls that they had, and they would not let people in those walls. Well, it became my personal life. My purpose in life was to break down walls, and I did not come in gently. I would just have, well, the Bible says, the New Testament says, Jesus says, if you don't let people in, you're not a Christian. You don't let people in, you're not following Christ. You've got to break down those walls. You've got to open up those walls. I don't understand why you constructed those walls. I don't know what happened to you in the past to make you want to build up those walls, but I don't know that you can't have walls. Anybody got walls? Guys, we got walls. Robert Frost in a poem called Mending Fences, I think it's a neighbor, he says, good fences make good neighbors. We get tired of people hurting us, get tired of people taking advantage of us, so we build up walls. Love never ends. Love does not give up. And so I want to leave you with some stuff that maybe will work for you too. When you mistreat me and everyone else, I will not give up on you, because that's what love is. When you choose to betray me and everyone else, I will not give up, because love never ends. Is that hard? You bet. When you get irritated by the sound of my voice, I will not give up, because love never ends. When you can't make a good decision 3 times in a row, I won't give up, because love never ends. When you never want to see me again, or hear me talk again, or do anything with me ever again, I will not give up, because love never ends. When I don't understand the struggle that you're facing, and I don't know how to help you get through those problems, I will not give up on you, because love never ends. A couple of questions for you. Have you ever seen the church or Christ followers give up on people? Love never ends. We cannot afford to give up on people. When we were unsavable, God sent Jesus to make us worthy. He lived a life we couldn't live. He died a death we should have died. He did not give up on us. Love never ends. So, are you currently irritated by everyone and everything? There's repentance for that. We will not give up on you, because love never ends. Are you frustrated by the over-commercialization of Christmas? We will not give up on you, because love never ends. Are you currently giving up on other people? We will not give up on you, because love never ends. Let's seek the heart of God so we can love people the way Christ has loved us. And this Christmas will be your best Christmas ever if you will not give up on people. Because love never ends. Let's stand and we're going to sing this song. This is Good, Good Father. And in Christ, God has shown himself to be a good Father who has a love that never ends. So let's sing this song together. And if you're struggling with being irritated, you're struggling with keeping a record of wrongs in your relationships, you're struggling with just being a generally loving person, let us pray with you. Come on up. Make this a place for you. And we will gather around you, and we will not give up on you because love never ends.